43.7% of extremity pain comes from the spine, and the TMJ is no different. You have to rule out the spine. It's a missing component when treating the TMJ. Remember, you can't go to the side of the pain because oftentimes the source of the problem is located somewhere else. And if you're struggling with TMJ, then this is the video for you. So we had a client that recently came in with this diagnosis of TMJ. They were having TMJ issues on their left side, but they were having neck issues on their right side. And one of the biggest things, she was doing a lot of research, trying to figure out everything that she was looking at that was coming up on TMJ stuff was, let's do mouth guards. Let's do dry needling for the tightness. Let's do cupping. These are all the things that she had been offered, but when coming here, she really wanted to find the source of the problem. And so I thought I'd do a little bit of a different video of understanding our thought process as we were going through her evaluation. So what were some of the signs that we knew that her TMJ was coming from her neck? First big sign. She'd been having neck issues for 3 years. 3 years. She was getting issues on that right side. She had been going to different, doing chiropractic, doing cupping, doing acupuncture, all these different things. She did physical therapy. She at one point had pain that went all the way down her arm into her pinky. And so these are all different signs that were like, you know what, there definitely is a neck component that we need to address. Now, what were her TMJ symptoms? Well, she woke up a week ago having TMJ problems, and this is the first time this has ever happened. She does not grind her teeth. She's never had problems with her jaw. She woke up having issues with not being able to open it, having popping on the left side, opposite to the side that she was having neck issues. Very common to see that because her body compensates. And she was having issues with chewing and just a lot of pain. And so we were taking all this information in. And our first thing was we have to rule out the spine. You've had it for 3 years having issues in the neck, and we have to rule that out. Now, the reason why the spine can be an issue with TMJ is because if something's not moving well here, your body's going to compensate. Your jaw compensates because it wants to kind of think of a balancing act. If we have some laying bricks over here and others over here, you have a balancing act. And so if the spine's not moving somewhere, your jaw will compensate. And that's why the first thing that we look at is looking at the spine to just rule it out. If anything, we are going to rule it out. But we were pretty sure that that's where everything was coming from, was her spine. Now, interesting enough, you can have a lot of stuff up in the upper neck. Definitely upper neck can create a lot of jaw issues. But for her, it was actually her lower neck. She had a lot of tightness and spasming, even when we tried to move her upper neck, but most of her pain was down low. She always felt like she had a knot in her shoulder blade. And I was like, well, let's just solve this problem first. We're going to go down and look at the lower cervical spine, and we're going to start there because she was so guarded everywhere else. So what do we start with? Our big first thing that we started with was let's just see, keeping her in the sagittal plane moving. I want to see what happens. One other thing that she also had was she'd always tilt her head away, try to open up that space. So as we're talking, and that's really common. So if you're always tilting your head here, then you're going to have things that kind of shift even within that jaw. So we made sure that we brought awareness around that in her everyday life. The other thing she told us too was her computer monitor was over on one side. She was always looking over to one side. And I'm like, oh gosh, you need to move that. She goes, oh yeah, I moved that back to the center. But even when I try to get good posture, I couldn't. So we just started with some neck retraction. We started her out kind of doing some of these and just asking her how she felt. And as we did it, I took her back and just kind of did that same thing. We had her lying on the table doing that and just giving her through some overpressure through that whole area. And as we did that, she could feel the tightness, and I was asking, how does this feel? Do you feel a stretch? Do you feel pain? And she's like, no, I feel a stretch. It's kind of almost like a stretchy pain. I'm like, perfect. That's what we're looking for. We did that, retested her baselines. She could go a little bit farther. She also was limited going forward, and she also was limited going backwards in her neck. So we tested her range of motion in her neck again. They all improved a little bit. We tested her jaw. Her jaw was about the same. And I was like, okay, cool. Let's do another round. We did another round. It's got kind of the same effect. Her range of motion in her neck improved a little bit. Jaw didn't do much. So then we went and did retraction extension. So we took her into retraction extension to get the lower cervical, kind of how we described it to her. It was very similar. Like if I just look up this way, you're only hitting this part of the neck, but we need to hit lower. And the reason why I knew we need to hit lower is that's where her pain was. And also she had the sign that went into pain all the way down her arm into her pinky. Well, that just tells us the level, because if you go into your thumb, you're looking at like C6. If you go into where you get pain all the way into the middle finger, that's like C7. And you go into the pinky, that's like C8, T1. Like that's right where the thoracic spine and the cervical spine like hit together. And so I was pretty sure it was pretty low. So we just started her out doing retraction extension so we could hit some of those lower levels. As we did that, got back up, noticed her range improved a little bit more. She was able to open with more confidence. Her deviation was better in her jaw. And we're like, cool, let's do it again. But it still wasn't fully resolving like all the motion. And her jaw was better, but it wasn't fully better. And because of the information that she said about the pinky finger, that just made us know it's even lower. And so how we can get even lower to hit those levels is when we put people in prone. So we do the same thing where we come onto our stomach and our shoulders like this. So now our spine and our thoracic spine is in a little bit of extension. And what we can do here is we're doing the same thing. We go into retraction, extension, hold, and breathe. And as we do this, we're telling her to kind of breathe and bring your chest down to the table. It's not going to hit the table, but that's what we're trying to get, and bring those shoulder blades in so that you get just even more thoracic extension. And when we did this, she could really feel the stretch. And that's when she was like, oh my God, my jaw, I have no pain. Like it feels great. And her range of motion in her neck really improved. And we're like, great, let's do this. So we didn't even touch her jaw. It was a thoracic spine issue. It was lower in her thoracic spine that was causing her a lot of problems. It wasn't upper. Oftentimes we find that it's upper, and sometimes there's going to be different motions than us doing retractions that it's going to actually help our client get better. But for this client, with all the information, it led us down a path of where we needed to look based on where her pain was in the cervical spine, based on her movement. Even when we took her head up, so a lot of times we can take people's head, we put them in flexion, and then we rotate them and see what that looks like. She was more limited in this position, meaning it was lower than she was when we put her into flexion, taking out the lower part where we actually get rotation so that we can see how the upper part actually moves. We were pretty sure that it was going to be lower that was going to really help, and then we just would monitor the symptoms with the TMJ. Now, if everything through here was no problems, her neck was getting better, but her TMJ wasn't, I would go into her upper cervical spine. There's definitely a lot of tightness there too, but some of that I think was just in protection mode because of where she was hurting. We would go and do stuff in the upper cervical spine would be our next spot if she didn't get resolution in her TMJ. And then if all of that was like her neck feels amazing, but she's still having issues in her TMJ, well, then we actually will start working on TMJ stuff to improve that mobility up there. But I'm telling you, when we say 43.6% of people that have extremity issues, it actually comes from the spine. It's very true for the TMJ as well. We find a lot of TMJ issues actually get resolved when we look at the cervical spine. And not many people will tell you that. And if you do all the cupping and the massage and the dry needling to all the tightness, you're just treating the symptom. Because what's happening is something's not moving, and we've got to get the mobility back first before we can even work on the tightness with maybe muscles that have shortened. Have they shortened because it's in protection mode, or have they shortened because they're actually shortened? Well, you don't really know that until you improve that mobility. So if you're noticing that you get cupping and dry needling and massage and your pain comes back pretty quickly, you're just treating a symptom. And early on, she did some of those things and it helped with the symptoms, but her neck pain never got better. Ever got better. It actually gave her more bouts that it was getting worse and worse and worse. And we were able to solve multiple issues at the same time. And She was super thankful for finding us. So if you have TMJ, follow some of these steps and see what kind of results you get. If you need more help because you're like, that's not quite working, definitely reach out to us. Comment below what you've tried to do for your TMJ beyond doing mouth guards and those kind of things to help solve your TMJ issues. And make sure you subscribe to our channel for more information. Share this with someone that needs to hear this. It's the only way that we're going to be able to really get information out. And we love providing education and getting information and getting people to kind of think through where the source of the problem is really coming from, because that's really what we specialize in, and helping people avoid surgery and injections and medications and really truly helping them get their life back. So we will see you next time.